Hey everybody, Steven here. Wanted to shoot one more video before the close of the year here. It's December 31st, so New Year's is tomorrow, right? So New Year's Eve here. And I was just looking over kind of my 1 year goals that I wrote out last year and just kind of dissecting like what I did really, really well and what I need to work on, right? Which I'm sure a lot of people are sitting there, like, especially for fitness, if you're in the fitness industry, a lot of people are gearing up for their New Year's resolutions, all these other things. Me and my buddy James just did the Why You're Not Achieving Your Goals video, which really had to do with, like, if you're struggling and you're struggling with this time of year, but if it's one of those things like you got to make this huge New Year's resolution like every year, you probably noticed a pattern that you're most likely not getting those things because I mean, you don't wait on the New Year's resolution. It's kind of the point of it, right? Tag it year round. So um, I like to create a plan for the year and look at the milestones that I want to hit, the smaller ones, and then the bigger ones along the way. So just wanted to share a couple of mine from this past year. On here, I had 3 Udemy courses completed. I have one out. I actually finished the second one back in, I think it was October, and then started promoting it in November. So I didn't get all 3, but I have 2 on Udemy right now. I wanted to get my functional movement screening certification, and I've actually kind of turned away from that one. I still want to get it, but it's still been on the back burner for a couple years. This next year, I have the grip certification, and then hopefully going down to Austin for the Onnit Foundation certification. But instead of doing the FMS, I actually decided to do the DNS, which FMS stands for Functional Movement Screening, DNS stands for Dynamic Neuromuscular Stabilization. I'll put links so you guys can look more into that stuff if you're curious about it. So put that on the back burner for the the FMS on the back burner for the DNS, which was a really, really great course. I loved that. So then after this, it was more like geared towards followers on social platforms, right? Got 1,000 Facebook followers. I'm still close to like the 730, 740 range, so didn't nail that one. But I've noticed I haven't been putting quite as much time there, and I decided to shift more towards YouTube. It just was a more natural fit for the way I like to pump out content, but still didn't hit that mark. 300 YouTube followers. I'm actually at 620, so I did get that one. Like I said, small stepping stones. This next year I'll definitely push harder on the content side and focus on just getting that out, and kind of like Gary Vee talks about, Gary Vaynerchuk, an entrepreneur I like to follow, which is really just like focus on the content, everything else will follow as long as you're patient, right? And that's kind of the thing I'm focusing on now, is just the patience side of it, and then just putting out good content. Hopefully you guys like it. 500 Instagram followers. I think I'm at like 460, right? I don't push hard on Instagram. Hopefully I'll push a little bit more on that end this year coming up. And then I had the newsletter going, decided that was one of those deals where you try it out, right? You fail at it, and if you fail, you learn something, right? So for that one, it's just too time consuming for the way I run everything, right? Because I have to go train clients, I have to write their programs, make sure their diet, like focusing on all of that and the content side. The newsletter just kind of got bogged down with that. I might do it here and there, but I'm not going to pour a ton of energy into it. New website, I did get that done earlier this year, which I still use. I love that, which a client helped me with that using WordPress. Didn't know a ton about that, so he ended up installing Divi, which is kind of like a template builder on that, so I can run it myself now, which is awesome. 200 YouTube videos. I'm at 227 right now. This will actually make 228. I was almost debating pushing to make 2 videos today to pump that out, just to make it 230, kind of round it out. But tonight's going to be writing out some of the videos that I want to do in the next couple weeks. I do have a couple on the back burner where I'm going to be collaborating with people that I've had before, like Zach King and hopefully Aaron Bolch, getting them on here to shoot some really, really cool videos as well. So that'll be the next thing I'm going to push for a little bit more so this upcoming year, which is just collaborating with people and learning from them. I was training out of a corporation called Turban Master. I wanted an extra strategy for that, which I ended up coming up with, and then I left in June. It wasn't anything bad. It was they were ready to go forward with what they were doing, and I had trained everybody up to the point where they knew what they were doing, so that they could go solo, basically. And that was the whole game plan from the get go. And then I wanted to get my book finished. I don't know if I've really talked about it too much on this channel. I have a separate YouTube channel. I'll put a link for that in this description box also, which just focuses on all the nerd stuff that I like to get into. Video games, comic books, all that other stuff. I'll give a quick tour here in a second of this is the guest bedroom / my office. But I have a publishing company with my best friend, and we put out, well, actually about 4 or 5 years ago, I put out the first book, Color Me Zombied. Stars my son as the main character, and he's a zombie, right? And then this was the follow-up one, and for that one I ended up pairing up with my best friend because he's just a better writer. I kind of outline everything, and then he writes it out. We kind of tweak it over time, and then found a great local artist, Zach Raw, to do all of our illustrations with that. It turned out really, really good. You can actually see the picture. That's actually from that's the poster, the limited edition poster that we had made. And like I said, I'll give you a tour here in a second so I can show you guys everything. But that turned out phenomenal. So I have that. This upcoming year, the hope is to get the new book, which is an all-female main character book that we're working on, out there. So we want to get that, an actual remake of the first book, just because I did the story and the art. Now I wanted to fit this new art style that we have and tweak the story a little bit. And then hopefully work on the third book in that series and get those projects up. And the ultimate goal in talking with my writing partner is to make sure that those actually get done and published. And we work with CreateSpace, which is Amazon's self-publishing service. So I'll actually write all these things out. I gotta put my whiteboard back up. I painted my office / guest bedroom here and didn't put it back up, but usually see I write all my stuff on this. So looking at what I need for my computer, the book, I was dealing with the notion of a fitness card game that kind of ran some ideas, wasn't passionate enough about it, so decided to drop it. And that's one of the things I'll use kind of as a marker for whether or not I'm going to do it. I'll write it down, but if I'm not super passionate about it, I'll usually just let it go to the wayside, because I'm not going to invest energy in something that I'm not extremely passionate about. So let me give you a quick tour of the office here. I'll just swivel this. So all my nerd stuff, bookcase, and then all the different posters, Venom, Marvel, Halo, all that stuff. And then the desk and computer area. I did move actually so this is my custom PC upstairs. I actually have a MacBook Pro downstairs, and I took my Varidesk because I've done some videos talking about the notion of standing up when you're at your desk, which is what I'm doing right now. Luckily, this screen swivels up and down, so I can actually, right now it's propped, so I can still look at it and just keep my hands down here and type and use the mouse and all that. But I took the Varidesk, which kind of raises it up and down. I took that downstairs, put it on the floor for my Mac, so I can actually sit on a bolster pad and sit there on the computer there also. So I can go back and forth. So I'm not always sitting in the desk chair, although I do have one up here. I try to avoid that as much as possible. There are periods where I will sit for a while, but countering that with something. So, but that's this room. Let me grab the book real quick too. We have one. And I actually don't have any up here. I do have some of the first book, which is right here. This is the copy they sent us to get approved, which we ended up changing this. So this isn't actually what it looks like. The cover does, but the rest of the inside doesn't, because we ended up having this so that there was no white border. It actually takes up the full page. But regardless, you can see how cool Zach Raw's art is. I mean, the book ended up turning out phenomenal. I'll put a link for these two books if anybody wants to buy it off Amazon. But But that was the other goal. And like I said, I like to write those out. The big ones that I want to hit, right? Kind of chart that out. It gives me something to aim at. I know not everybody's like that, but it does. And whether that's with the business stuff or just my fitness stuff, I'm gonna have to train. Like one of the goals for me is training with a client of mine that ended up getting her RKC certification. I've had her on the YouTube channel talking about her process going from 269 pounds all the way to 138 pounds. I mean, phenomenal story. And her name's Charlotte, and she is actually going to be training me in kettlebells, which is a weak point for me. So I'm going to focus on that. And I want to be really, really solid for the Onnit certification, because I just don't want to go down there and I can't do something, or I get an injury. I just want to be ready, prepared for that. So working on that, cleaning up the diet stuff, which I know a lot of people talk about that, but this time of year I do let myself kind of indulge in all that, but I'm ready for the reset. So focusing on that, branching out, getting back on smoothies, things like that. But I'll put those little notes, right? And figuring out what I can actually pour all of my energy into that's realistic. That makes sense also. So writing it out for me is a good way to navigate through some of the BS that I'm, like I said, I'm either not passionate about, it's not going to get done, right? Or something I really just don't need to focus on, right? It's a waste of my time. I'm focusing on stupid things versus things that I really need to, like I said, pour my energy into. So goal for this next year though on the YouTube video side is definitely pumping out more videos. Like I said, this will be 228 with my other YouTube channel, which is just called One Up Nerdcore. I started that this year and I have 129 videos on that. So all in all, I probably pumped out about 250 videos this year. I'd like to keep with that pace, if not better. Ideally somewhere between 300 and 400 videos next year, which is going to be quite the challenge, but I'm definitely up for it. So figuring out what you guys want, and that's where I want to hear from you guys. I always love getting your comments and navigating through that and seeing like, all right, where can I help that person, especially if it's a situation where that person can't afford a trainer, they don't live in this area. Like there's no way for me to help them beyond really just the videos and giving as much information as I can with that. So hopefully you guys have an amazing 2018. I want to thank you so much just for watching the videos, engaging on any of them, right? It means a lot to me. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll put the links for the books, my other YouTube channel, if you're into any of that stuff. And I'll go ahead and put a link if I can to Gary V's videos. If you haven't watched any or know who Gary V is, definitely worth the watch on that end. So thank you guys so much. Hit the like button if you like this video, and then hit the subscribe button if you want to follow along with everything that I'm going to pump out in 2018. And then if you have any resolutions or anything like that too, you just want to throw them out there and share, maybe not resolutions, but just goals that you have for 2018, right? The big picture stuff that you're trying to do that in the comment section for me, so I can see what everybody else is working on, because I love seeing what everybody else is kind of shooting for and wanting to build for that next year. Thanks for watching, guys.